Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out 8 ways I changed after moving to the UK from the USA.
And I think I learned how to do it just for the British driving test, and then I was like, never again. Please let me stay on account of how much I love baked beans now. Hey guys, welcome back to the Girl Gone London channel.
Hey.
YouTube seems to be pushing some of my old videos recently, which means that a lot of you have been commenting and emailing telling me that you've noticed some differences in me since I filmed those older videos.
Ooh.
And it's true, some things have changed and other things have not changed in the slightest, including this hoodie, which I do wash, but I think I wear it in like most of my videos for the past 3 years. Now, the first thing that has changed in my life since moving to the UK is I now own waterproof shoes and a rain jacket. Being from Florida, I genuinely am sure that I never owned a pair of rain boots, I never owned a pair of waterproof shoes, and I never owned a rain jacket. I know,
What?
I'm not saying no one in Florida owns any of these things, but it doesn't really make sense with the climate because the thunderstorms and the rain happen so quickly and intensely and
that's
pretty
true.
much only in the summer months.
That's true, y'all. I'm also from Florida originally, although I haven't lived in Florida since, well, the year 2000. Wow, I've been out of Florida for 24 years. It's interesting, in Florida, around 3 or 4 in the afternoon, it rains. Thunder, lightning, downpour rain, but it only lasts for like 30 minutes. And now that I think of it right now, I live in California and I do not have rain shoes. I do not have a rain jacket.
So you usually just duck inside a building or something so you don't get hit by lightning and then emerge a couple minutes later when it's past. Here in the UK, it's totally different and it rains off and on. Relatively drizzly is kind of the vibe here, and so it means that you do need more waterproof clothing than living in Florida. I do have a problem with waterproof shoes, which is completely unrelated to this video, but maybe somebody has some recommendations. I don't like waterproof shoes because they always feel too tight and too like hard to put on. I know this might sound insane, but regular shoes tend to be like softer, and I think it's like the material that they make waterproof shoes out of. I just feel like they restrict my feet so much, and I hate wearing them and I hate putting them on. And I didn't plan on saying this in the video, but here we are. So if you've got any recommendation for like the best waterproof shoe brands, please leave it below.
Y'all have no idea. I have had no idea. Dickies? Dickies? Dickies?
This has now become like the home shopping network. I don't know. Next difference on my list is I'm a better driver since moving to the UK. When an American moves to the UK, you are allowed to drive on an American license for only 1 year. I drove on my license for the 1 year allowed, and then I had to take the British driving test, and I was like, wow, this is an actual test compared to what I had to do in Florida, which took about 10 minutes and only included a parking lot. And I'm not kidding, they didn't take me out on a real road because that would be too dangerous with a 16-year-old who basically still doesn't know how to drive. Driving in the UK is a lot more intense. The traffic patterns are a lot more intense. Having to constantly deal with roundabouts means that you're constantly having to think rather than just going straight on a straight road for like 100 miles and then eventually finding a 4-way stop. Now, my parking skills have not improved at the same rate as my driving skills, but typically I can still get away with it even if I have to park a little bit further away, because there is no way I'm going to be able to get my car parallel parked in between 2 other cars. That is a remnant from living in Florida that I'm just not entirely sure I'll ever be confident with. In other US states, they do a lot more parallel parking, especially if you go into like the Northeast. But in Florida, it's very purpose-built. We don't have that many opportunities to even need to parallel park, so it's not something that I learned when I was first learning to drive, and I think I learned how to do it just for the British driving test, and then I was like, never again. But despite that, I am a better driver overall.
She's right, y'all. When I lived in Florida, like, pretty much every business has its own parking lot, and you don't really need to parallel park. Now, when I moved to Los Angeles, you gotta know how to parallel park. So these first 2 differences that she's mentioned are very on the surface. Waterproof clothing, driving. I want to hear some emotional enlightenment, some spiritual growth, some existential differences. You know? How has her outlook on life changed? How has her relationship with her parents changed? How has your marriage changed, Galen? How's your self-esteem doing? You doing all right?
The next thing on my list is I am better at talking to random people, and I will explain this because this doesn't make sense to say You moved from America to the UK, which tends to be a little bit more reserved and maybe talk less to random strangers, and now you're somehow better at it. And I'll tell you the reason, and it's because of my accent, and it's because people realize that I'm from somewhere else and I don't instantly fit in, which means that a lot of times people are engaging in small talk with me more than I think they would somebody with a similar sounding accent, because I open my mouth and they want to know, where am I from?
Right.
What do I think about the current political climate? Have I ever been to Disney World? Yes, I have. Because my accent hasn't changed, this still happens to me to this day. Like, I don't have a sign on me that says I've lived in the UK for over 10 years. My accent does sound like I literally landed yesterday, I think, from the US. And so people are quite interested in knowing where I come from, where my accent's from. And in that way, I've had to get used to engaging with a lot of random people answering questions about myself.
She's more outgoing. This is great. This is a good change. I love talking to random people. Usually, when you approach somebody and just start a conversation, usually they're very receptive and you can make connections and it's fun, kind of, you know? Other times, I don't know what the hell to say, you know? I went to this screening last week. This very attractive woman was sitting next to me in the theater, and we had to wait for the show to start for like 45 minutes. She probably expects men to approach her all the time. And I just had the realization, like, I don't want to talk to her, but I feel like she's expecting me to say something. And I didn't say anything to her. I just sat there looking at my phone. I didn't want to give her, the gift of me. So we didn't talk at all, which was really interesting. I just wasn't feeling the vibe between us. There was something off. Something wasn't connecting, so I didn't talk to her. But usually it's really fun. Way to go, Kayla.
Where my accent's from, and in that way I've had to get used to engaging with a lot of random people answering questions about myself. Now, the next thing on my list has to do with British humor, and I feel like I'm getting a lot better at understanding and participating in British humor since moving here. It does take a long time for many people when you're first moving to the UK from the States to start understanding the very, very dry and very, very deadpan sense of humor here, because it is different than what we're used to in the States. But over time, I think I'm assimilating with my sense of humor, which a lot of you have pointed out in my videos, and I have always been a little bit of a sarcastic sense of humor kind of person, so I did have that to my advantage when I first moved here, but it still has taken a long time to not take everything so literally and understand the jokes.
I literally just reacted to a video she did about British versus American humor, so be sure to check that out. She goes into more depth. This is what I'm talking about. Her humor's changed. She's better at the sarcasm. One of the things she mentioned in the other video is that America is a low context culture and Britain is a high context culture. So Americans are more sincere with their humor. The Brits are more sarcastic with their humor. There's overlap. Some Americans are very sarcastic, but not like the Brits, y'all. Very sarcastic. No, that's not sarcasm. Something else she mentioned in the humor video that I haven't heard anyone else mention in one of these American versus British humor videos. The idea of self-deprecation. In America, sometimes when you try to make a joke and try to be self-deprecating, people respond by trying to cheer you up. Oh, you're not a piece of crap. And you have to say, no, I was being self-deprecating. I was trying to make a joke. It didn't land. But in Britain, I guess that happens a lot. And self-deprecation is much more easily identified by the Brits. They appreciate it more. What else has changed, Kaylin?
The next thing on my list, I've literally just written the following. I really like beans on my baked potato, and with hash browns and pizza. I think what I was going for there was I really like baked beans, but I just wanted to let you know what I enjoy the baked beans with. So baked potatoes, or jacket potatoes as we call them, I like them with my hash browns at breakfast. I like beans with pizza. I like beans with pie, and I like beans on toast. I'm trying to think of anything I don't like baked beans with that you're supposed to eat baked beans with. And I don't think I can think of anything. I think I enjoy baked beans with all of the foods that Brits typically eat baked beans with. So I know I do not enjoy tea or hot drinks, which a few of you were a little bit up in arms about in one of my latest videos and wanted to have me deported from the country.
Get out!
Please let me stay on account of how much I love baked beans now.
I like baked beans, but I've never had it with hash browns. I have had it on toast. like when I was 9 years old, and that was the extent of my cooking abilities. Pizza? Baked beans on pizza. I gotta try it. I like baked beans, and I like pizza. What was the other thing she said? Pizza. Oh, potatoes. I could totally see a baked potato with baked beans being really good. Yes. But that might just be the magic of potatoes, you know? Potatoes are good with pretty much anything. But Kaylin, we're backtracking. This is another superficial thing. I want to go deeper.
Another thing on my list actually has to do with food as well, and that is that I like Indian food. And I had genuinely had never tried Indian food before moving to the UK.
Oh,
Not
wow.
saying you can't get it in America, but it's much better in the UK, and also
Is
I
it?
have the palate of a 3-year-old.
Is Indian food better in Britain? It probably is, just because there's so much more of it. I love Indian food. First time I had it was in the year 2000 when I moved to New York City. I had chicken tikka masala, and I loved it. And then I ate it so much. But Kaylin, this is another superficial thing. I want to go deeper into your emotional makeup.
So it wasn't something that I had experienced when I lived in Florida previously, but it's more prevalent and more popular in the UK, whether people are making like a curry at home or ordering it out, or some really good like Indian restaurants in London or in other places across the country. There are just more opportunities to try Indian food here, and I don't like spicy, but I do like a non-spicy Indian dish, and that is something new about me that has only emerged in the last 10 years. And the next thing on my list is nowadays in the UK, I walk everywhere I can. I would not have walked this much in the US. I would not have wanted to walk places. It just wasn't a part of the culture in Florida to walk. Maybe you walk around the neighborhood like once or twice if you're pretending to lose weight on like January 1st. But then it's done. Then you get back in your car and you drive to wherever you need to go next. But here in the UK, walking is very popular. Walking as a source of entertainment, walking as a source of exercise, but also just like a social walk and things like that. I walk a lot and I enjoy walking. And so that's something that is different about me. I will also say that often I enjoy walking here as well because I don't have to deal with the aforementioned inability to park problem. So it's like I can be more British and enjoy walking, and I don't have to deal with parking.
Okay, she likes walking more. I love walking. I drive my car like once every 6 weeks. In fact, after I film this video, I'm going to walk to Trader Joe's. It's about a mile away. The main reason I do it is because traffic stresses me out. Even if I'm not in a hurry, I drove to my cousin's house, and I wasn't in a hurry. There was no reason to be in a hurry at all. I was going to my cousin's house, like totally casual thing. But someone pulled in front of me, and I got so upset. I called them names. I spoke loudly. I raised my voice, y'all. But I feel like walking does something to your brain. The way the world goes by us at a slower pace than in a car. It's more natural.
And the last thing on my list, which is changing ever so slightly. So this is not a big change yet. This is not going from no baked beans to all the baked beans kind of extremes. But I'm becoming a little bit less rushed living in the UK, and I will tell you what I mean. Life in America in general is a lot faster than here, and I don't just mean in a city, I mean in the suburbs. I mean Americans, we don't pause. We have this constant need to be working, to be going, to be running from here to there. After you finish a meal, you're not sitting and enjoying the company. You are racing out the door. You are done. You are on to the next thing. Whereas here in the UK, I feel like life just in general moves a little bit slower. The work-life balance is better. The time for like leisure or leisure, as you would say here, activities is more, and that's by design. It has nothing to do with anything negative. In fact, I think it's a more positive way of living, which is also a bit more of a European way of living compared to the Americans. And so, yes, I do feel Americans still in the kind of hustle culture and the feeling that you always have to keep going.
Yeah.
But I do feel like bit by bit, day by day, year by year, I'm finding a little bit of an ability to slow down and to appreciate things and to not be the one who is like just desperate to get up after we've finished eating dessert to move on to the next thing. I even did a puzzle the other day. I mean,
I feel this totally. This rushed sense. I'll work and I'll work and I'll work and I'll work in order to finish it and to give myself time to just relax, to veg out. But then whenever I'm actually vegetating, I feel like I'm wasting my time. I feel like I could be doing something to make more money. I can't relax totally because I'm worrying about the next day. And then whenever you can't relax, you start leaning into the substances, you know, to try to help you relax and forget about the hustle. It's a vicious cycle. I'm glad that you've relaxed, Caitlin. That's good. That's really good. You'll probably live a lot longer because of that. Hey, my fellow Americans, let's chill the f*** out. I think that's part of it too, is I know everybody else is hustling. Remember the pandemic? How fun that was for the first month? Maybe like 1 month a year, we all just chill the hell out. Everything's closed. Chill the hell out. Everyone has enough toilet paper. Chill the hell out. Everyone has enough food. Just chill the hell out. Don't drive anywhere. Just chill the hell out. And if you're British, get to it. You're not doing enough. Just kidding.
Now that brings me to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed learning about some of the different ways in which I feel I've changed since moving to the UK. Please comment below if maybe you've noticed something that's changed about me, or maybe you have a recommendation for the waterproof shoes, because I also really need that as well. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Y'all be sure to go to Girl Gone London and like and subscribe. Okay, so we did get to some deeper things. She's more relaxed. She's more attuned to a self-deprecating, sarcastic humor. That's healthy. She's walking more. That's healthy. She's more at peace. She's more comfortable with being leisurely. These are good things. She's better at driving. She appreciates Indian food more. These are all good things. Congratulations, Kate. Y'all, I gotta learn to relax. My voice may sound chill. Well, thank y'all for watching this with me. I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. Thank y'all for watching this with me. And I'll see you next time. Later.